Welcome to the Courageous Self-Care Experience with self-care expert, embodiment coach, four-time author, and your spiritual ninja guide, Christina Marlette. This is your go-to show for high-achieving, spiritually curious women who are done with burnout, over the hustle, and ready to feel fully alive and energized. You'll get a powerful mix of soulful wisdom, rebellious truth bombs, and energy practices that actually work. So now, please welcome the host of the Courageous Self-Care Experience, Christina Marlette.
Hello, welcome to the Courageous Self-Care Experience. My name is Christina Marlette. I am your host, and we're streaming live on Bold Brave TV, and you can find replays on all major streaming or all major services. All right, so my show is going to be a little bit different today because first of all, we got a different background, a different place in my house. And secondly, I wanted to share with you some really valuable, important information on the root cause of all problems and how to resolve them. So, the root cause of all problems, whether any kind of problem you might be having in your life, whether it's a physical problem, an energetic problem, like not enough energy, it might be a relationship issue, a financial issue, any kind of issue that we might have in our life, it's only ever the result of one thing, and that one thing is stuck energy. Everything is made of energy. First of all, you are made of energy. Whatever you're sitting on is made of energy, and it vibrates at different frequencies. So anything that's really that we can touch, that we can see, that we can, part of our three-dimensional world, that is energy that has been condensed into physical matter. And then we always have energy flowing through us. And it's valuable to understand that and know that. My granny used to say this when I was little. She would say, everything's made of energy. And she'd say that to my mom. And my mom would say, huh? And fast forward until I grew up and started working with some of my mentors, and they started saying the same thing. And my mom said, oh, I've heard that before. Everything's made of energy. So energy can flow and energy can get stuck. When energy gets stuck, then it backs up and leads to issues because our system wants the energy to be flowing through us. So the root cause of anything in your body, anything in your outer world, always just stuck energy. We have a million names for stuck energy. We have all sorts of diagnoses, and at the root of it all is stuck energy. So how does that happen? Well, we have a whole lot of suppressing going on. I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking of the Elvis song, A Whole Lot of Shaking Going On, but then I was thinking about it as suppressing, a whole lot of suppressing going on. So we have a tendency to be taught to suppress our emotions. When we're little, if big emotions come out, they can be embarrassing to our parents or seen as not appropriate. So then we are taught to suppress them, and that becomes our way of being. Over time, emotions, you can think of them as energy in motion. It is supposed to move through. Did you know that big emotions are only meant to last about 90 seconds? Isn't that crazy? So if you have an emotion that has stuck around for a long time, whether it's hours or days or weeks or years or decades, it is, it's meant to move through pretty quickly. So we need to know some tools to be able to get that stuck energy moving. When emotions get stuck, when we suppress them and we save them for later, or we have a fear about feeling these different emotions, these different energies, then they have to go somewhere. So they're going to go land in the body. And let's say emotions determine that the elbow is a place to land. So anytime you suppress an emotion, maybe it's shame, maybe it's guilt, maybe it's fear, they can start to build up in one spot. So in this example, they're building up in your elbow until at some point you start to notice some pain in your elbow. We might call it tennis elbow. We might call it an injury. We might call it an issue, a chronic issue. Really, it's coming from stuck energy. So once we get that energy moving again, the pain in the body will heal. So the body has one way to speak to us, sensation. And if we pay attention to the sensations, then we are helping the energies move through. If we suppress them, then they have to find somewhere to go. So that's one way that we suppress things. Another way is that we get symptoms and then we suppress those. So we might take a painkiller. We might take other things to suppress the symptoms. And although we might feel better physically, the energy is still stuck. So the body has to work harder and harder and harder and make it bigger and bigger so that you get the message that there's stuck energy, because the body is designed to heal. It has an innate healer and it wants to heal. That's what we're here for, expansion and growth, and spirit is always speaking to the body and the body speaks to the mind. And then we want to bring the mind back onto the body. But if we're not doing that, usually spirit speaks to the body. It's all about expansion. And then the body speaks to the mind, and then the mind makes up stories and goes and researches and tries to figure out how to fix, which is really often suppressing. Sometimes we even cut things out of the body. And although it might temporarily feel better, the stuck energy that caused it initially is still there. So when we work with stuck energy and get it flowing again, we heal as a happy byproduct. So how do we do that? Well, the solution to all these issues, mental, emotional, physical, relationship, financial, it is to get stuck energy moving. So what's happening is there's a physical version of this. So in the brain, we have a metaphorical trapdoor. So we have a hypothalamus in the brain. We have a thalamus in the brain. The hypothalamus reports to the subconscious world. It's what shifts the system into fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system. And then we also have the thalamus, which gathers information from the five senses, from the outer world. And it's the one that says, okay, there's a bear, go into fight or flight. Hypothalamus says, got it, going into fight or flight. And what can happen is there's a metaphorical trapdoor between these two structures in the brain. If there's a really big emotion associated with the bear or any big event, especially before we were 7 years old, what happens is that metaphorical trapdoor gets slammed shut. And let's say the bear is gone now. The thalamus is saying, no more bear, we're good, coast is clear. But if that trapdoor is shut, then the hypothalamus keeps running the system on high alert. There's a bear, there's a bear, there's a bear. And fight or flight is not meant to last very long. So if this trapdoor is shut, these two aren't communicating, and being stuck in fight or flight for hours, days, months, weeks, years is very hard on the system. So for all healing to happen, we need that trapdoor to open. There are 3 ways that that trapdoor can open with ease that will get that stuck energy moving so that the conscious mind and the subconscious mind can communicate and be on the same page. We need that trapdoor to open, absolutely, for that inner healer to awaken. So there are 3 ways that I love, that are super efficient, that help get stuck energy moving. And they, in my opinion, are the gateway, the pathway to ultimate healing. And I can use myself as an example. I'm the healthiest person I know. I have energy all the time and I have no aches and pains. I'm 48 at this point and I take no medication. I sleep well. I feel rested. And I would say it's because I've discovered and implement these 3 self-care practices on a regular basis. So hopefully you want to know what they are. That's what the rest of the show is going to be about. I'm going to explain to you these 3 practices to get stuck energy moving. So the first one is conscious breathing. And there can be no transformation without conscious breath. That's what my mentor, Dr. Sue Morter, says. We need to unify mind, body, and breath. That is how we get stuck energy moving. And that's how we open that trapdoor. Mind, body, and breath unified at the same time. So we have a lot of practices, a lot of self-care practices that might unify 2 of them at the same time, but often the third one is left out. So we might have the mind activated and the breath, maybe doing something like meditation. But if we're not paying attention to the body, then it's not complete union. We might do we might do some exercise, but then the mind wanders and ruminates and thinks about whatever it wants to think about. And so the body might be benefiting, but it's not getting stuck energy moving in the best, most effective way possible. So conscious breathing is where we unify mind, body, and breath. And I've taught this in some previous shows. A version of this is central channel breathing. So we're following the breath through the body with the mind. We give the mind something to do, because otherwise the mind is just going to think. And then you might be meditating, for example, and then the mind off it goes. And then you're thinking, oh no, I'm thinking, oh no, I'm getting it wrong. I'm not benefiting from meditating. So we want to give the mind something to do. If you just say to the mind, don't think, it doesn't know what to do. But if you give it the task of following the breath through the body, it knows exactly what to do. And then we're unifying mind, body, and breath. So conscious breathing practices are valuable to incorporate into your regular everyday practices. If you're going to be breathing, you might as well breathe in a way that's going to awaken your inner healer, right? And get that stuck energy moving. Then it is also really valuable to have conscious breathing in a specific practice called somatic breathwork. And there are lots of different somatic breathwork practices out there. I love 9D breathwork. I discovered it a couple of years ago, and I had done a lot of breathwork up until then, and I had noticed that it made a big difference in my life. And then I started doing 9D breathwork, and oh my gosh, it's the Cadillac of breathwork. So it has 9 different technologies woven into it, and you do an activated breathing that opens up that trap door, and it shuts down the analytical part of the mind. It really opens up the subconscious, so that stuck energy that was taking up residence in the subconscious and in the body, it gets to move through. And then in addition to the breath work, so up until 9D breath work, I'd only ever done breath work with the breathing, and that was it. Maybe some music would be playing. And with 9D breathwork, there's also technologies woven into it. So there are journeys based on different themes, which I love. So there's a journey to move through grief and loss. There is another journey to increase abundance. There is another journey to honor sacred rage. So I had a lot of suppressed anger. And when I did that journey, it was just like a key to a door got unlocked, and I felt so different and so much better. So they have a theme, and then they weave in neuro-linguistic programming. So there's a coach who talks you through the entire journey. Brian Kelly is the creator of 9D, and his voice, and then some other journeys have different people's voices, and they talk you through it. So you have motivation, you have guidance, and you have instruction through the whole thing. Up until I did 9D breath work, the experience would only ever be the instructor saying, okay, breathe like this and go. And then all these strange things would happen, and I would wonder, what's going on? So I love having the coaching as part of it. There's world-class music that is intense when it's supposed to be intense. It's calm when it's supposed to be calm. So music is energy, and it helps along the journey. It helps to release that stuck energy in a really mindful way. And then there's also hypnotherapy woven into it. There's subliminal affirmations. So they're going right into your subconscious. I don't know if you've worked with affirmations before, but it can take a lot of repetition for an affirmation to get into the subconscious mind, like 90 days of saying it often during the day, not just once, but over and over and over. So this is a much faster and more efficient way. And there's binaural beats woven into it. Binaural beats are a frequency that help your brain function more effectively. There's solfeggio frequencies woven in, which also activate your connection with the divine, and they help your brain focus. So amazing technologies woven in. There's also isochronic tones, all of this happening, and you just show up and you breathe. One particular experience that was really telling of how effective it was to do the 9D is I did the abundance journey, and it helps you reprogram your beliefs around money and finances and prosperity. And within a few days of doing the session, 3 things happened that I knew were related to doing the journey. And the most prominent one was that I had wanted to do a retreat for a decade. And I've been working to make it happen, and it never seemed to happen. I invested money into booking places, and then they would just fall apart, or I didn't tell anyone, so no one came. And after I did this 90 journey, I said to my husband on a walk one day, I just want someone to contact me and say, we want you to do the yoga and the breath work at the retreat. That's what we want you to do. And guess what? Right after doing the abundance journey, that's what happened. Someone contacted me, and I got to do the retreat in Panama that I did just a few weeks ago, and it was magical. So this breath work is so, so powerful. So that's way number one to get stuck energy moving. Conscious breathing, both as a daily practice that doesn't take any extra time. You just incorporate it into your day, and then maybe a couple times a month or once a week, you do a conscious breathwork journey to really focus in on getting specific stuck energies moving. Like I was saying, you can work with anger, you can work with fear, you can work with money issues, you can work with enoughness and self-worth. So super powerful. Anxiety. There are so many journeys, and every time I do, 90 is always bringing new ones in, and every time I do one, I say, oh, it's my new favorite. So I would highly recommend incorporating conscious breathing into your life to get stuck energy moving. So that's thing number one. Thing number two, to unify mind, body, and breath, to get stuck energy moving and open up that trap door so your inner healer can awaken and get to work, is yoga. And I tried for 20 years to love yoga, and I just didn't get why people loved it. I would do a class and I'd be like, it was okay. And I tried every kind of yoga I could find, seeking and searching for this mystical experience that some people talked about. And I just did not fall in love with it. And then during the pandemic, my mentor, Dr. Sue, started offering body awake yoga online. And at my first class, I said, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. Finally. And I didn't know that it even existed, but the difference was, again, unifying mind, body, and breath. So the difference in body awake yoga is that you get into the posture and you breathe, and then you follow the breath through the body with the mind. This amplifies the effectiveness of the postures. And I've learned so many fascinating things about yoga through body awake yoga. Like each posture is a sacred geometry, and sacred geometries are helping us connect. We're going to go a little woo-woo here, but it's all the truth. So there are different dimensions. There's the 3D world, and that seems like the real world, but there's also the invisible world, which is the truth. This is where all energy comes from. And when we put our bodies into sacred geometries, we're connecting with other dimensions, which again help to activate that inner healer. They help us access infinite intelligence and feel more connected. So all that you can do on the yoga mat. And that never happened to my awareness, at least, until I started doing body awake yoga. I've healed so many things on the mat. I am in awe of how powerful it is. And one woman in our body awake community said after doing it for several months, 21 years of chronic pain, intense chronic pain melted. She doesn't have pain anymore. And I've had people attend my yoga classes. So it was so effective and powerful. At a certain point, Dr. Sue offered the opportunity to get certified to teach, and I felt compelled to do it. My intuition was guiding me, and I thought, well, I don't really want to teach yoga, but I am going to follow my intuition. And then partway through the year-long certification, I was experiencing so many benefits that I said, I can't keep this to myself. This is too good to be kept a secret. So I decided to teach, and I've been teaching online ever since, and teaching in person. And at a class one time, a woman came to me afterwards and said, what did you do? I came here with a level 8 back pain, and now it's at about a 2. How did that happen? So it's the power of unifying mind, body, and breath. And then another gentleman took my class one time, and he had been teaching yoga for 30 years. And he said, I have never experienced a yoga class like that before. That was like breathing the whole universe into my body. Oh my gosh. So this is what people say all the time, that they've never experienced anything like it. And I felt the same way. So body awake yoga, super effective way to unify mind, body, and breath, get stuck energy moving, incorporate conscious breathing into the movement, and open that trapdoor to awaken that inner healer. So what's so amazing about it is you can go onto the mat and create an intention or have an intention rise at the beginning of the class, and then after you step off the mat, it continues to unfold. So for example, I had a yoga student who was feeling really stressed about a dinner party. And so she decided to do a yoga class instead of stress out about it. So she turned on one of the classes that I had taught, and she said it just melted away. The stress melted because she set the intention to have more peace and calm. And she said it was the most fun dinner party because she knew it was because she did the yoga class. And another example is I noticed once I started doing the yoga regularly, things would just shift. Like I would just notice, oh, I don't have to be right anymore. Like I would feel something come up, and a previous version of me would have said it to be right. And I noticed specifically one time I was driving with my husband, and he was driving and I was passengering, and he went a way that I didn't think was the best way. And I could feel it come up, and then it just dissipated and I didn't have to say it. And I thought, oh, I don't have to be right about this. What a relief. This is amazing. He can just drive, and our relationship can be so much more smooth and harmonious because I don't need to be the one in control. So getting on the mat is an amazing way to improve every part of your life, and specifically yoga when you are working with following the breath through the body, putting the body into these sacred postures. And so that would be way number 2. That is super helpful and beneficial for incorporating and unifying mind, body, and breath. So that's thing number 2. Now, the third thing is called BEST, and it is an energy healing practice. BEST stands for Bioenergetic Synchronization Technique. And again, I learned about this through Dr. Sue. Her father actually created BEST. He was a pioneer in energy medicine, and he was a chiropractor. And he was very curious and kind of frustrated why some of his patients would just have to come week after week. He would do the adjustment, and then the adjustment wouldn't hold. And he wondered, am I really doing a service if my patients have to come back week after week? And he started to wonder why some other patients, he would do the adjustment and it would hold, and they would experience true healing. And so he had the awareness that he wanted to work with the master system, the energy that created the spine and the nervous system and the body. So he started to create what is now called BEST technique, bioenergetic synchronization technique. And he started to notice amazing healing happening because, again, this trapdoor was starting to open and was stuck in the subconscious, was getting released. The conscious mind could speak to the subconscious. And this isn't in a way where things have to be relived or you have to rehash it or experience it again. It's gentle. Like the conscious just goes, see, problem solved. And subconscious goes, oh, got it. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about BEST when we come back. I also want to take you through an embodied energy flow exercise. I'll just show you mountain pose with the conscious breathing incorporated into it. So we're going to have a word from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. I'm Christina Marlette. This is the Courageous Self-Care Experience. And we'll be right back.
Mike Zorek, a 3-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a 6-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2 2/3 and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorick, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorick has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back. This is the Courageous Self-Care Experience. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. We're streaming live on Bold Brave TV and available as a replay on all major platforms. Okay, so we're talking about how the root cause of all problems, stuck energy, and then how to heal by getting that stuck energy moving. So we talked already about unifying mind, body, and breath, and opening up the trap door between the conscious mind and the subconscious, between the hypothalamus and the thalamus. And we talked about conscious breathing as one way of unifying mind, body, and breath to awaken that inner healer. We also talked about body awake yoga as a kind of yoga that unifies mind, body, and breath for amazing results, getting that stuck energy moving. So in every show, I like to incorporate an embodied energy flow practice, and I'd love to take you through a simple yoga posture to show you what it feels like to move the breath through the body with the mind focused on it. So if you're driving, obviously don't stand up, but if you can stand up, it's a great idea to do that. I invite you to do that with me now. And if you are going to stay seated, then you can still do this posture. And that's something really valuable to know about body awake yoga is you could be completely bedridden, but if you watched a class and you imagined yourself doing it and you followed the breathing, you would still experience the same benefits. So there is never a reason to say, I can't. There is only the awareness of saying, how can I do this? What can I do to participate in this as much as I can? So like I said, we've had really amazing experiences of people healing by doing the body wake yoga on a regular basis. So let's have an example of it. So stand up if you can and feel inclined to do so. And then you're going to put your feet underneath your hips. If you're in a chair, you can do the same thing. And then you're going to take your arms and put them down by your sides. And can I show you that? Yeah, if you're watching the video, then your arms will be like this, fingertips spread. And if you can't see, you're listening to a replay, then we are just having a wide base with the arms, got space in between your elbows and your ribs and air flowing through the armpits. So they're not squished towards the body. All right, and then from there, lean a little bit forward, and we don't want to be there. Lean a little bit back. We don't want to be there. We want to be right balanced in the middle. And squeeze your shoulder blades back, down, and together, which opens up the heart center. This gives the body the cue that we're leading from the heart, not the head. And from here, feel your toes on the ground. Feel your heels on the ground. Feel the outer edges of your feet on the ground. And we're going to imagine that there is a pool of golden light 2 feet below you in the earth. From there, you're going to breathe in through your nose and you're going to imagine The breath coming up through the feet, through the calves, through the upper legs, through the pelvis, right up into the heart. And then we're going to exhale through the nose, and the breath, you're going to watch it with the mind coming up through the chest, the throat, the head, out the crown to 2 feet above, where you could snap your fingers if your arm was extended overhead. And then inhale back down from overhead through the crown, through the brain, through the throat, into the heart. Squeeze your blades, your shoulder blades back down and together, heart wide open, and then exhale down through the solar plexus, the diaphragm, through the belly, through the pelvis, down the legs, out the feet, into the earth. Let's do that again. Inhale up from the earth all the way to the heart. Track it with the mind. You can close your eyes if that helps. Now through the nose, exhale through the chest, the throat, the head, out the crown to 2 feet above. And then inhale back down from overhead into the heart, following the breath with the mind. Just making up that you know how to do this. And then exhale down through the core, through the pelvis, down the legs, out the feet, into the earth. Let's do it once more, and imagine what you're breathing through is energy. It's flowing energy. It's light. It's love. So inhale that flowing energy right up through the lower body into the heart. Squeeze the shoulder blades back down and together. Be centered on your feet. Exhale that light and love and energy out through the crown. From overhead, inhale back down into the heart. Love and light, and spread it down through the core, through the pelvis, down the legs, out the feet, into the earth. And then just relax the arms and notice how you feel in this moment. So you might notice, even if your mind wanders, you have something to bring it back to. So you might feel more calm, you might feel centered. One person one time when I did this kind of practice, she said, I felt a clunk. It was like the real me landed in my body for the first time ever. So, or you might not notice anything. All of it is totally fine. Okay, so if you're standing up, you can sit back down. I'm going to rearrange my setup here. There we go. And that is an example of posture and body awake yoga. Okay, so now we're going to move into a little bit more about BEST, bioenergetic synchronization technique. So what Dr. Mortar noticed with his patients was that they really started to heal from things that the medical community was saying they couldn't heal from. So it wasn't just chiropractic anymore. It was really amazing healing happened. And what I love about BEST is that it's 100% tested on humans. And there are several parts to it. And each part didn't get incorporated until the previous part worked 100% of the time. So Dr. Morta was really fastidious about results. And he traveled all over the world teaching chiropractors how to incorporate BEST into their practice. And this was at a time when no one was talking about energy being a form of medicine. So he was very ahead of his time. And then that's BEST. And it works with that trap door. It's opening the trap door in the brain so that the conscious mind can speak to the subconscious and the system can get out of fight or flight. It helps reset the nervous system. So sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight system. It helps bring the body out of that into parasympathetic, where healing happens, rest and digest. So that's called emotional BEST. And what we work with is stuck emotions. So sometimes there's a flow chart, and I do it remotely. So I test people's energies by using my stuffed animal, and I get their body's yes and no's, and I go through the flow chart. And sometimes we work with a person from the past to release stuck energy around that. Sometimes we work with an experience from the past, and you don't even have to know what they are, which is a great thing. Like I said, you don't have to talk about it over and over. You don't have to rehash it. You don't have to experience it again. You just get that stuck energy flowing. You might work with a physical complaint. You might work with a thought that keeps showing up over and over. Or you might work with just the emotion that is present right now in the subconscious. And then you also might work with a number one complaint, a number one reason that you wanted a session in the first place. So all of that gets released, and you're unifying mind, body, and breath because the eyes get put into a certain position. They might be open or closed, looking up, down, left, right, or diagonals. We also work with the breath. And we do breath holds because when you hold the breath, the body works on a priority basis. And if it's holding on to stuck energy around, let's say, anger, and you're also holding the breath, the body doesn't know when you're going to take a breath again. And because you're really laser focusing in on releasing the stuck energy, the body says, okay, well, I don't know when the next breath is coming, so I'm just going to release that anger. And the energy starts flowing again. So we work with the breath. We also work with numbers. We bring the energy of a number into each round of best, because numbers have an energy as well, and they support the healing and the awakening of that inner healer. So that is how, in a nutshell, emotional best works. And then Dr. Sue, Dr. Mortar's daughter, took it a step further and created spiritual best. So this is working with the chakras in the body, the energy centers that are at different frequencies, just like different radio stations. We've got different frequencies throughout the body. And when we work with the chakras, we're getting a tune up at an energetic level. We also have, so we have chakras 1 through 7 through the body, and we also have chakras that are part of our invisible anatomy. So we have a golden egg of energy around us, that's chakra 12. And then we have chakra 11, which is the energy moving through our whole system. We have chakra 10, which is 2 feet below us in the earth. We have chakra 8, which is 2 feet above the crown. And then we have chakra 9, which is 4 feet above the crown. And when we work with these chakras, it's like they're getting a tune up, and the whole system says, oh, if that is the frequency that chakra is now functioning at, the body has to up level itself to match that new frequency. So I love the analogy that it is like learning to fly a plane. So if life was like learning to fly a plane, most people are stuck out on the wing and they are flying along through life. There are crash landings. There's turbulence. They're getting hit by the wind. Life is just chaos and a struggle for survival. When we do spiritual best, we get invited into the cockpit and we become the co-pilot with the divine. So it is smooth, it is calm. We learn how to not crash land anymore in different situations in life. It's just smooth, steady flying. That's what spiritual best is. And it has all of the same elements of emotional best. And then it goes a step further, working with the energy. So spiritual best is so amazing. Well, they're both really amazing. And I love working with my clients. I've had really remarkable things happen. I had a young woman come to me who had been experiencing nightmares for 5 years straight, pretty much every night. No, 7 years. So she was at the point where she was terrified to go to sleep. And over the course of a few weeks, we did multiple sessions. And after just a few weeks, no more nightmares. So something really shifted in her subconscious and new opportunities showed up for her. And she noticed a reduction in anxiety overall. So that is an example of what can happen with best. Anything and everything can be resolved because we're awakening that inner healer by unifying mind, body, and breath, getting that stuck energy moving and opening up the trapdoor. So super powerful. And like I said, it can be done in person, hands-on. I love to do it remotely so I can work with people all over the world. And I think it's fascinating. I never knew that I would want to do any kind of healing. I started off as a phys ed teacher and a dance teacher. So it's just very, very interesting where life takes us. All right. So we have one more short segment when we come back. This is the Courageous Self-Care Experience. I'm your host, Christina Marlette, and we're going to go to our sponsors for a quick break. We're streaming live on Bold Brave TV, and I'll be back right after this.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back. This is the Courageous Self-Care Experience. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. Yay, you for sticking around. Well done. An hour can be a lot of devoted time, and so I honor you that you are still here, whether you're here live or on the replay. I love people who go through the finish line. All right, so we are talking about getting stuck energy moving. We're talking about opening the trapdoor in the brain. And we are talking about how to heal anything in your life. So there is you could go out and find a best healer. There are people all over the world who are certified. You could go out and find a body awake yoga teacher. Again, people all over the world are getting certified. And you could go out and find yourself a 90 breathwork facilitator or a conscious breathwork facilitator and start implementing them. Or you could, I've created a system. I love a system. I love things that are efficient and that work and that you put in less time and effort and energy and get better results than ever before. That is what I'm all about. That's the kind of self-care I am interested in. And so that's why I created something called the BALM. BALM, not BOMB. It's the BALM. So I call it the Body Awareness Life Makeover. And when we have awareness in the body, we are unifying mind, body, and breath. And that's when our true healing happens. So I've taken lots of programs. I've taken lots of trainings and certifications. And for me, and I find this for people who are really high achievers, I really appreciate when there's something in my calendar and I put it in and then I go to it and then it's done. I love that. So self-guided, not so much. Work at your own pace, not as effective for me. And for the people who are high achievers and highly productive people, I've noticed this trend that self-care can be the first thing that goes off your list, right? When you get busy and you're being in service to others. So I created this system where there are dates on the calendar regularly every month. We do the body awake yoga online. We do the remote best healing online. We do the breath work online and you show up for it and then it's done and you heal. So when we have all three of those practices incorporated together, what I've noticed with my clients is their lives just to continue to get better and better. Anxiety decreases and often disappears completely. I have one client I'm working with, and every time I see her, she says, I can tell there's a part of me that wants to get stressed about this, but it just doesn't need to anymore. And it's amazing. So yeah, life can be, it can still be chaotic. There can still be challenges, but you don't have to suffer through it. And the only reason you would suffer is because there's stuck energy. There are old hooks that your energy can go into that are old patterns. And I know from personal experience, I've always been a high achiever and like to get lots of stuff done and have a dynamic, interesting life. And I used to do that and be stressed pretty much the whole time. I had digestive issues. I had blow-ups frequently, and it on the outside it looked like I was, succeeding and thriving. On the inside, not so much. And what has shifted by incorporating these three powerful practices is I actually get even more done. Like, people look at me all the time and say, how do you do everything? And you don't seem stressed. You seem really calm. And that's true. I get more done than I even used to. And I feel graceful and easeful most of the time. Of course, I'm human. There's still times where I feel the big feelings, but now I know what to do with them. Get on the mat, or I do a best session, or I do some conscious breathing, and they're resolved within minutes rather than the days or the weeks or the months it used to take for me to move through challenging situations. So life can be very chaotic still, and I've learned how to be this calm in the storm, just this centered, present, mindful, aware part of me takes over, and it is a very different way of living. And I have overflowing energy, and this is what people who are in the bomb are starting to find as well, is they're going from exhausted and burnt out and stressed to flowing through life and feeling creative and empowered and being able to make decisions more efficiently and effectively. So this is the system that I've created. I would love for you to check it out if you feel interested in any of these aspects of it. It's a monthly membership, and it is available. I'm putting the link in the description for this show. So it's at my website, ChristinaMarlette.com. And if you go into the offerings tab, there is the balm there. You can see that. And if it is not for you, no worries. But I do want you to be empowered to know that any issue in life is just stuck energy. And like I said, we give it a myriad of names. We give it diagnoses. And if we just can understand that it's just stuck energy, it's so empowering. Like, there are big words out there that are really scary that are diagnoses. And if we step back and go, oh, it's just stuck energy, I know what to do with that. I need to unify mind, body, and breath. I need to get that trap door open so my inner healer is awakened. So much less stress and so much more empowering. So I'd encourage you to check out the balm if it feels aligned for you. And if you'd like a free resource from my website, it is called the Daily Self-Care Checklist. It has self-care practices that move the needle, not just taking a bubble bath or not just meditating. There are self-care practices that really are strategic and help you have more energy and less stress and be more efficient, get more done with less time and effort invested. That is my whole thing. I like to call these the self-care ninja skills of life, so that life can be graceful and flowing and beautiful. And yeah, stuff still happens. We're here to grow and expand, and it often happens during those big moments, and we don't have to suffer nearly as much as we do. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love and appreciate that you took time to be here and experience the courageous self-care experience. I also, as an aligned action, recommend doing that mountain pose with the breath moving through the body. And next time, if you are doing a yoga class, experiment with bringing the mind onto the breath. You'll get so much more out of the yoga class. That is how it was originally intended to be. All right. That is our show for today. Thank you so much. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. This is the Courageous Self-Care Experience. May you go out into this week feeling blessed and knowing that you are a blessing just by being you in your most aware, conscious version. This is the Courageous Self-Care Experience. We're streaming live on Bold Brave TV, and the replay is available on all major platforms. Sending you love and blessings, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now.
This has been the Courageous Self-Care Experience with host Christina Marlette. Tune in each week as Christina will offer up live laser coaching where her compassionate reframes help you see the bigger picture, shift your perspective, and return to inner peace, no matter what's going on. You'll leave with a weekly aligned action to get your energy flowing and your life glowing. Thursdays, 12 noon Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network, powered by B2 Studios.